This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let me share this. I've shared a YouTube link. Everyone is able to access that link. It's the link which you generally open daily. It's the link where you get all the recordings. So the people who are all new yesterday and today, they can use this link to access the old recordings or old sessions.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep. So let's talk about booting process of Linux. Here, what you see, you are able to see the running Linux, correct? Now let me start. Let me reboot the system. After that, I will show what is this, what is that. So this time BIOS is coming up. After this, this is a Grub. Grub is coming up. At this point of time, Grub has given me to load the kernel and initrd files. As soon as I enter, it extracts the initrd file and load the file system. Before that, it loads the kernel as well. I'll explain what are all those things, terminology I'm saying right now. And after that, it spawn the init process and it further loads all the processes. And here is your login screen. You are able to log in and then done. So let's start the whole process again. Whenever you buy a new laptop, you'll have a hard disk. Let's say if your hard disk does not have any operating system, you don't have any operating system. So what will happen if you are going to boot? If you're going to start the system, this laptop goes into BIOS mode, correct? Or it will go in a mode where it says that you don't have hard disk or you don't have bootable media or not a bootable media not found, and you'll get stuck at black screen, or some laptops may go in BIOS. So BIOS stands for basic input output system, which BIOS is a software which is already loaded inside this laptop chip, and we call it as a firmware. And laptop chip, whenever this you turn on the power, this laptop chips start loading all the features which is in the BIOS and which is obviously tightly coupled with all the hardwares inside the laptop. Let's say you have a screen, you have RAM, you have fan running inside your hard motherboard, you have several other hard disks which is running here. So it initializes all things. All these the basic, I mean, it's initialize all the basic hardware which is needed to run the operating system. And then it gives you a screen where the BIOS screen comes up actually. Before the BIOS screen comes up, all this initialization, whatever I'm telling, it has already been done. Hardware has been accessed, CPU has been accessed, your RAM has been accessed, and check whether it's may not be checked 100%, but yes, it has already been accessed. So after this BIOS, it goes BIOS goes and checks for the bootloader. It whenever whenever we install an operating system in a hard disk, some sectors of the hard disk we write in a way that we make it bootable. We add a flag of bootable. This is a hard disk. In that we add a flag which change this hard disk and make it as a bootable. So that in this sector and some of the sectors we have kept the files which help in booting the system. So BIOS checks in the already plugged in device. So it found that we have a hard disk, and this hard disk has a bootable flag turned on. So it tries to boot from this hard disk. So when it tries to boot, it tries to read the sectors from starting. So it found out that it has installed operating system. Let's say we have a Linux operating system installed in this hard disk. So it has found the bootable flag, and after finding the bootable flag, it starts loading the bootloader. So here it will try to load Grub. Actually, it's Grub 2 currently. Initially, it used to be Grub. Grub. Grub stands for Grand Unified Bootloader. Grand Unified Bootloader. So this actually helps Linux operating system to boot, and whatever the screen we have seen, that's the Grub screen. Whenever Grub screen comes, it has several arguments. BIOS, somebody asked that what BIOS stands for. BIOS stands for Basic Input Output System. So Grub 2, yep, Grub 2, whenever we go into the Grub 2, what Grub 2 does is Grub 2 is a bootloader and which will take several arguments from where it has to boot and what it has to boot, what it has to load. Our Grub will have several things in it. First, I can say it will have kernel, sorry, kernel address from where it has to load the kernel, then initramfs from where it has to load the initramfs, and then several command line arguments, cmd line arguments. And then in arguments we'll write so many things like which driver, if you want to blacklist you can write it down, if you want to enable the graphics you can write it down, if you want to disable the graphics during boot you can write it down, if you want to change your RAM you can write it down, what how much RAM you want it to utilize. There are several kernel arguments you can tweak from here. You want to load your system in single user mode you can do. So there are n number of arguments which you can give and you can utilize that. So this is the sequence. We'll see the files where the kernel is, what arguments says that this is the kernel, where the initramfs is, where the actual file stays, and where the argument we have given, and the several command line argument we'll see. So I'll open this file and I will ask everybody to go through this at least. This is the file actually, grub2 grub.cfg. So in this file you can see, so please have a look at this. Maybe you may not be able to understand much, but still I will ask you to just go through this once. I'll be back in 2 minutes. So this is the information we are able to see. So whenever you load your grub, you will be able to see that this is the menu which is coming. CentOS Linux 3.1 hyphen hyphen this version, and then CentOS 7, and then core. So this is just a text, nothing much. I mean, this is indicating the version number and the operating system number, but it's a text. It's not the settings actually. So if you want, you can modify according to your requirement. Let me see whose name I can give. Akash name is coming in the first for me. So I'll write down Akash name here. So it's a text. It's not a setting. It is text till where? It is text till this. After that, it's all settings and it's all command line arguments. So after this command line arguments, there are several more arguments which is coming in place, like load video, set gfx payload equals to keep, insmode gzio, part mstos, insmode xfs, set root equals to this. Then here we are in, yeah, if this has some feature, please turn on and do something. And then we are required to load this VM liners. This is the kernel compressed file, and then from which location you are required to load from this CentOS slash root, and this is the initrd. What is initrd and what is kernel? Okay, so these are all the two places which from where it's loading, and to this is in a compressed form actually. VM liners is a compressed form of Linux kernel. Initrd is a compressed form of file system, whatever we have. So to uncompress this bootloader is loading first of all gzio. Gzio is to uncompress this files. So it has to load this driver, it has to load part ms-dos, it has to load xfs also because our file system is in xfs. So to access this xfs file system, it has to load the xfs driver first of all. So that is why all these three things are here. So VM Linux and initrd. Let's see what is that. VM Linux, let's say we have compiled the kernel. So we have compiled kernel. After compiling kernel, it's a huge uh, C code, I can say, huge amount of C code we are having, and which is compiled. And after compilation, we'll get the KO files, and after KO file, all these KO files will get compressed and will get stored in VM Linux, and then it will have several symbols also, symbols like what all driver requires to export the symbols and several other things it will have VM Linux. So it's a compressed form. So yeah, it's a compressed form of your Linux kernel, and after that VM Linux, yeah, VM Linux is this one. After that initrd. initrd, you might have seen that slash root slash etc slash bin slash bash. So all these are compressed and kept into initrd. So initrd is actually a file system. Initial init is initial, RAM-fs is initial RAM file system. So this first goes onto the RAM, this first loaded into the RAM, and then after that all the operations from your hard disk starts loading here. Actually, these two things are also coming from the hard disk itself, but after this your actual operating system GUI and process comes up after loading this. So here, why we are loading VM Linux first? Why we have kernel first? Because kernel is the one which will initialize all your hardware or your display, all your motherboard things, which has already been initialized by the BIOS and which has not been initialized by the BIOS. Both the things will get initialized by the VM Linux, because VM Linux will have the ultimate driver of everything to initialize and to make the base core running. So after that, we'll have this file system. File system will get expanded, and after expanding the file system, will get loaded the all process and everything. And after that, what all things has been written, it will starts loading. So all these files, vmlinux, initrmfs, and there are several other more files you will be able to find out in a directory called /boot. So some people, what they does is they want to secure with the password this boot directory, not boot directory. Yeah, boot directory I will say. So during installation, most of the people would have seen that whenever we are doing the formatting, we were having an option for making a boot partition as well. Correct? Have you guys seen or not?
Yes,
No,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
So, okay, let me show it again. No problem. I'll be able to show it quickly where it is. Yeah, this is the machine, and I'm going to create a new virtual machine here. And test, which is going to take Linux. It's not having. Okay. Uh-oh. Linux. Redhat 64-bit. Next. 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 And now I need to insert the hard disk. Where is the hard disk? Now start. So this is the starting. You'll be able to see install CentOS. Let me zoom this. Device. So this has already been covered in.
Sir, you are in mute, right?
Yep. So in another partition here, let me add. This is the one I was talking about. Here they have this boot option. So it's like whenever you give a boot partition of let's say 500 MB or 1 GB, what happens after this? After this, it is going to create a separate boot partition for you. Open this, man. Yep. It's going to, let's say you have a hard disk of 8 GB, which we are having currently, 8 GB. Inside this 8 GB, it will create 1 GB. If I give 1 GB to slash boot, so it's going to create a partition itself. After that, definitely we are going to create swap of maybe 1 or 2 GB, and the remaining space we are going to give to root. Okay, so not home folder, root directory. Okay, so this is what we have seen on the first day. On the first day, we might have given only two partitions. One is swap, another one is root. Okay. Now we are talking about boot also. So some organization, what is required is not even in some, in most of the organization, if you have Linux and if you want to protect your Linux, then definitely you are required to put a password in your Grub as well. Else anybody can come and will modify your password and then can use your system. Okay, so you are required to give the boot partition separately, and in that case you have to give the size. Let's say if you're giving 1 GB, you can give 1 GB at mount point. It's going to create a separate partition which is SDA1 and give the space of 953 GB, sorry, MB. Okay, and remaining space it is keeping it for its metadata. Actually, that's why it says every space, every format, every partition, when you do the format, you will see that it does not show the actual partition. Okay, so let's say if your hard disk is having 1 TB, it will never show you the space of 1 TB because it is keeping some space for its own uses to maintain the metadata of your hard disk. Whatever the data you are going to keep, it has to be maintained at some places. So that space, it has been kept by the hard disk itself. So this is what I was talking about here. Let me go. Let me exit this. Okay, I'll shut down this. Save this machine state and shut down. Yep. So we'll have this boot partition, and having said that, uh, in this boot partition only all the files has been kept. If we are not giving boot partition here as 1 GB, this boot partition will automatically get created inside root, and it all the files whatever I have told vm lineage initrd or several other files will go here slash boot slash. So if you are giving boot as a separate partition, all the files of boot will go there. If you are not giving, all the files will go inside the root directory itself. So we can see here. So I will save and exit. ls space boot. You can see that ls space boot. If I have given, it has EFI folder, grub2 folder, initramfs folder. Initramfs has two initrmfs. In dump mode we have one. In normal linux booting mode, for that initrmfs we have. For rescue mode we have another initrmfs. Sim version system.map, it's again a symbol of all your kernel modules. Symbols means like the system call and the function calls and all, it will have. Yeah, so this will have linux kernel, this vm lineage. So this is what the boot directory contains, lsplk. Okay, maybe I'm not sure, but we might have given a boot partition separate 1 GB for this. You can see that in SDA we have SDA1, which is of 1 GB and which is mounted as boot, and here we have SDA2. Just one second. And in SDA2 you can see that it has been divided in two parts, root and swap. So that's LVM partition, which has been divided into two parts. Root, it has taken 6.2 GB, and swap, it is taking 820 MB. I think it must be automatic partition. We never give something like that, so it must be an automatic partition maybe. In manual we didn't give like this. Okay, so in manual what we might have done is SDA1 we might have given swap, SDA2 we might have given root. That's all. But here you can see that SD1 has been given as boot, and SDA2 has been partitioned as LVM. LVM we'll talk about it later in Linux class itself. What is LVM and how to make the LVM partitions and how to configure, how to divide. So many things we'll do that in LVM. So these are all the two things we are able to see. And inside this boot partition we have all these folders, and grub to folder will have these things. So these things are required: fonts, device map, grub cfg. It's all required to for the grub to load the operating system. Jyoti Dikshit has asked what is ko file. So have you gone through the yesterday or not yesterday's day for yesterday's lecture, Jyoti?
Yes, sir.
So in that have I mentioned about ls mode, ins mode?
Yes, sir.
So during that time itself, I might have mentioned that ko file it's a kernel object. Ko stands for kernel
Oh,
object, and
oh,
kernel
oh,
object
oh.
we call it as a driver. So the driver, whenever driver compiles inside the Linux, it comes as an ko extension. So whenever we do
Okay.
ins mode, we are going to insert a driver. When we do rm mode, we are going to remove a driver. Or whenever we do mode probe also, we are going to insert a driver. But what is the difference between ins mode and mode probe? I might have told in that class itself. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here, all these files are required by Grub itself. But this grub.cfg is the important file. If you remove this, your system will never boot. Okay. So please make sure you don't do much things with this. And if you do, there are several methods to recover this as well. Okay. So grub.cfg in grub.cfg only I have modified this name actually. You can see that this name I have modified in grub.cfg only. Okay. So I will exit this, I will reboot this, and we'll once again see the process how it goes. BIOS has already been came. Now you can see that it's loading the grub, and you can see that the name whatever we have changed it's coming here. So if you want you can delete this name. If you want you can replace this name with something, but that's not advisable because this tells you which operating system you are having and what is the kernel version. This is a very good information. Somebody to choose which menu that particular person wanted to go inside. Okay, so this is showing. But here previously I used to press enter all the time, but I'm not going to press enter this time. I'm going to press E. E means edit. So this is I have gone to edit the grub.cfg menu. So you can see that what all information we were seeing there, it's all present here. Linux 16, it's loading VM Linux 16, it's loading VM Linux also, and it's loading initrd FS also. You can see that here. So whatever changes we are going to do here, it's all going to be a temporary changes. It's not going to be a permanent changes. If you want to make permanent changes, you have to boot the operating system, or there are another ways to make the permanent changes. Certain ways, certain commands you are required to run to make the permanent changes. But from here, okay, we'll come back in a few minutes here, and then we'll talk about it, what and how to debug things if you got stuck at. So if you want to make some changes, you can make some changes. What changes I can tell you right now is, okay, let's delete this line till quite. And after this, if I know what I have deleted and what it meant for. After this, I will, if I want this settings to boot with, I will press, if you press enter, it is going to enter a line. So how to boot this, how to boot with this setting? You are required to press Ctrl X. This is what it's displaying here. You can see that. Press Ctrl X to start, Ctrl C or a command prompt to escape to discard edits. So I don't want to press Ctrl C. I want to boot with these settings, whatever changes I have made. So for that, I need to press Ctrl X. I've pressed Ctrl X. So this menu you are seeing, this was not coming last time. So all these text and its booting menus, that's what those text were. Text I have removed so that all these things can come up. So I'm able to log in. Now let's see if you end up in doing something, or maybe something has happened to the system and you're not able to recover from that system. What this will do, I want to ask everyone. Okay, let me name then. Mahendra. Mahendra, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What this is going to do? I have modified something.
Don't know.
Okay. Rohit ready? Rohit ready? Are you there? Rohit, are you there? Okay, let's move to another person. Ganesh, Ajay. Ganesh, Ajay, are you there? Ganesh, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Any idea what this will do?
Yes, sir. You have to change every minute and day, and also change a username or as root.
Hmm.
And
I'm asking that. I
sir,
have written this line. My question is, I have
yeah,
written this line.
yeah.
What this line will do? What this line
It's
will do? If I'll close and exit, what will happen? I wanted to know.
it's reboot, sir. Reboot and every minute and hour change and reboot the system.
So that's the correct answer.
Sir.
Yeah, thank you, Ganesh. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Shashi, Rekha.
Reboot the systems.
Okay, yeah, that's the correct answer. So let's say something like that. Like this, you have got stuck. So what does it mean by you got stuck? It will reboot the system, but the complete answer is it's going to reboot my system every minute, because in minute also I have given a star. So in 10 seconds, it's going to reboot my system. Sorry, 20 seconds. In some cases, what may happen is, like, let's say system is coming up and you're logging in. After logging in, let's say you have entered into the exact minute, 1 minute, and before you can edit the file, before I am going to open this file, before I can edit the file, it's once again rebooted. So you are not able to do anything. So you got somewhere and something has happened in your system. So I mean to say that you are not able to access your system correctly. Okay. So at that one point of time, how to debug this situation? So now you know the sequence. Okay, let me repeat the sequence once again. So come back. Yep. So here you can see that after all this initramfs, we'll have init process or systemd, which will have PID number 0, sorry, 1, PID 1, and this is the first process to start with init or systemd. And whenever this starts, after this all the processes starts, all the required processes starts. Process means to run your system, what are all primary processes are required that's going to run here. But before that, all your file system has been in place and it's loaded. But process like network manager, your further other settings, your graphics and GDM, your logs, all those things has not been started at this point of time. So what is happening? Our PID 1 is coming into the play, or init is getting started. After that, all the process getting started. We are getting the login screen. We are logging in and system. So the whole process starting again. So what we can do is either we can access this file system, whatever is in hard disk. This hard disk, whatever the file system is there in hard disk, if we can access at this point itself or before this itself. Because after this init only all the processes are coming into the play, and then cron and init and rc.d, all the processes are daemons are coming into the picture, and then they are initializing their work. So if we interrupt the system and start working there itself, yep. So if we interrupt the system and we'll start at here itself, and we got the access, somehow we got the access of this hard disk, then we are done. We can make the changes and then we can make our things working. So let's see how we can do that. So 8 seconds it's going to reboot. Let it reboot on its own, then we'll see. So I'll reach at Grub and then I will press E key so that the process gets interrupted there itself, and then I will do modify something. I will reach here at the end of this line. Please remember this line because you have to write at this point only. This is the line. Linux where VM Lineage is written. Okay. So here in this line, I am deleting or removing this one till quiet. Here I will write RW. It means read write. then init equals to slash bin slash bash. So I have rw means whatever the file system is going to be get mounted, it has to be get mounted with read write permission, and init equals to bin bash means I want init or systemd to give me the terminal. That's it. I don't want to do anything else, the init process. So I modified the init process itself to start with bash. Don't start anything. Just only start bash. That's it. So to execute this, I will press Ctrl X. Let's see how it goes. We have a bash screen. Now let's see whether you have the file system or not here. Slash etc slash cron tab. Oh, you can see that here you have the changes. Okay, so let's delete this line. That's what your work is, and quickly save and exit, and you are done. If we reboot will not work because there is no such command called reboot here. It has not loaded the complete file system. It has loaded only the basic commands and basic things, basic stuff. So how to reboot now? For that we are required to press Control Alt Del. How to send Control Alt Del? I cannot press Control Alt Del in this Windows because for me base is Windows. So input keyboard, just a second, input keyboard, insert Control Del, host plus del. So let me send this. Okay, it did not went. Host del. Why it's not going? Okay, man, I will do that. Soft keyboard is keyboard input. Control Alter del. Where is del? Okay, so it's pressing Control del. It's not taking all the inputs. So host del. It's not. Okay, anyways, let me go ahead and reset this PC because I need to just Control to del is to restart the system. So reset is also going to do the same thing. We'll see our changes has been incorporated or not. So by this method, whatever we have done, you can simply go and change the. Somebody can have access to your system and can change your login password as well. Oh, you can see that we have the changes, whatever we have done. So we were required to restart the PC. So either press Control Alt Del, or we can do from reset also. Since it's a virtual box, I'm running in virtual box. I have to be dependent on virtual box, whatever virtual box is showing to me. So this is one thing. And so whatever I have written in it equals to /bin/byte, that's called as a single user mode. That's not a multi-user mode actually. So if somebody asks how you can go into single user mode, you can say that by using modifying the grub with init equals to bin bash, we can go there. There are several other ways also. I'm not saying that that's the only way to go there. So some people may try different ways to go. You can give a try, no issues. So what other thing I wanted to show you, that yeah, at some point of time, let's say your grub.cfg file itself has been moved to some another place, or by mistake, or maybe intentionally, somebody has modified in something in grub. Okay, so you see that you don't have grub now here. Grub2, you don't have grub.cfg here. I have moved it at some other place. So definitely your system is not gonna boot. Now what now? Now what to do? We don't have grub itself. We were having grub successful running, and after that we got stuck. So here, coming back to this picture, we were having grub running. Where is that? Okay. In grub itself we have written all these things. So we have grub running, and which is booting all this which is booting all this VM Lineage and initrd. We don't have grub itself. So what to do? We'll not be able to modify init. We'll not be able to write it down in it. So now in this case, how to recover that system? So that this process is already available with Linux. It's not available with Windows. So what we will do is we will boot again with the live CD. Live CD. What is the difference between live CD, live DVD? What is the difference between live DVD and the normal DVD? We'll come back again to this point as well. So we'll boot from the live DVD, and then we'll go into the rescue mode. And after going to the rescue mode, we can mount this hard disk itself, and then we can recover the system. So now we will skip all this process, whatever we have gone through, which was coming from the hard disk, from the boot menu, from the boot folder. We'll skip all this. We will load whatever we are getting from the DVD. We will go through this whole process from the DVD, And after loading from the DVD, we will load this hard disk into this DVD running operating system, and there we will try to modify something here in hard disk, and we'll reboot. Then we'll see whether our grub is back or not. Okay, that is what I'm trying to convey. That is what we'll do here now. So how to do that? Okay, we'll come back to live CD also. What is live CD? Live CD or DVD is a DVD which gives you operating system to run without installation itself. So you can see that Ubuntu gives you a very good GUI way to install your operating system. Sorry, to run your operating system. Okay, here I will. Okay, let me show you how Ubuntu looks like. Choose a disk file. I'm not sure. I don't have Ubuntu here currently, so we'll not do that now. So let's go ahead with CentOS itself. I have inserted the DVD here, and then I will reboot the system. And after resetting, it's going to boot from the DVD. After that, you can see that test this media and install CentOS. Install CentOS. So there are three menus. Install CentOS is going to install directly the CentOS. Test media and install CentOS means it will test the integrity of this DVD, whatever we have inserted currently, and then after that it will install. And in troubleshooting, we will go to troubleshoot. Let me go to troubleshoot now. Install CentOS in basic graphics mode. Rescue CentOS system. Run a memory test. Boot from local drive. Return to main menu. So rescue a CentOS system. This is going to give you a running CentOS, but that will run on RAM only. So let me explain once again. What is that? What are the sentence I have told? What is that actually? So let's say you have your system. This is your computer or laptop. You have CD running or DVD running. DVD running here. It has CentOS. CentOS 7 I can say. It has CentOS 7. So now you have your RAM also here. So whenever your system starts up, everything goes onto the RAM, correct? From CD to RAM, or let's say if you have hard disk and you are starting your operating system, then everything goes from your hard disk to RAM, and then it starts. It brings up. So actually, operating system runs on RAM. It does not run on hard disk. But yes, ultimately data has to be get loaded from your hard disk to the RAM. So in our case, we don't have access to the hard disk because we are not able to boot from the data whatever this hard disk is providing to us. So we are trying to load from, or we are trying to boot from the CD. So whatever the data CD or DVD is having is going to load onto the RAM, and after loading the RAM, it starts the operating system. CentOS. It's a start the CentOS 7 here. So you can see that we have a privilege with Linux to start the operating system without having that operating system installed on the hard disk. We can run on a RAM. We can run that operating system on the RAM, and we can remove that, and then we are good to go. I mean, we have not touched. There may be a case that you may not require to access your hard disk and you want to run your operating system. So in that case, this Linux CentOS DVD comes into the picture. So okay, anyways, here we are moving ahead with this. So we have Yep. So I will go and enter the rescue mode, rescue a CentOS system. So what it is going to do, it is going to load all the things from this DVD to RAM, and it will mount, ultimately it will scan this whatever the operating system has been loaded inside RAM. It's going to mount all the things. It's going to not mount, it's going to scan all the devices. And since we have booted in rescue mode, the rescue mode work is to scan the bootable flag. Which hard disk has the bootable flag? Let's say this hard disk has the bootable flag. It will read this flag and it will mount this drive. Mount, everybody know what the mount work. What is the meaning of mount? It does not mean that it's going to transfer the data. Correct. So here we have seen that this is the menu which we came. Now I will do the continue. Now it's doing the mount process actually. So after doing that, it's asking me to return the shell. It means press the return. Press the return means press the enter key. Now it's asking, you can see that rescue mount. Your system has been mounted under mnt sysimage. So the meaning of this is my system means ls mnt sysimage, and this is the folder of our running operating system, whatever we were running before getting into this rescue mode. So we will not have grub.cfg here, not in sysimage. In boot, grub to grub.cfg. We don't have grub.cfg. You can see that. This is what we were having. So what we have done is we have moved one step back. That's grub.cfg. We should be able to find out here. Is it here or not? No, it's not here. So it must be here. You can see that we have moved grub.cfg, and if you want to verify it's ours or not, we can open this and we will be able to find out the name Akash. You can see that we have modified this name, so this is the file. Okay, so we have the file system in mnt/sysimage. Now we cannot directly go modify and then come back here. So what to do here? So what we are required to do, this file system has been mounted. Let me draw another image. This is our DVD. From this is your RAM. All the data has been loaded. OS is up and running. After that, we have access to hard disk also. This is your HDD actually. We have access to hard disk also, no doubt. But if you simply go, okay, to modify some of the files, you are required a live and running system. Every time it's not always that you can copy one system to another system and your system will work. Some configuration files are only there which does like that. Let's say in your windows, in your windows, if you delete your download folder, your system is still going to boot. Okay, but if you delete your whole Windows system32 or program files, your system is never gonna boot. So ultimate solution for you will be to format the system. So here in this case, we are not going to boot our system. So, and even though if we just if we just copy the files, we may or may not boot the system. So how what to do in this case? In this case, what we need to do, we will get the root prompt of this hard disk by running a command. Root prompt means we are running this operating system, and after running this operating system, we will run a command, and that command will give us a fake root. It will not be root of this actually, it will be the root of, we are inside the root file system of this. I mean, we'll be into the cd root user, but it will give access of the root user of this hard disk, which has already been mounted. You can see here, yep, chown, what it was saying, chroot /mnt/sys image. It's done. You can see that prompt has been changed. Now it was previously it was sh, now it has bash. And I may not be able to show. Okay, let me see how I can show you. You can see that I'm able to switch my user. This operating system I'm running with CD drive, and I have done the chroot into this sys image where my hard disk has been displayed or mounted, and after that I'm able to switch to the test user which I have created there. I will exit. Test 2 also I will have. You can see that. So it's all, so this proves that we are into our root user of our operating system, whatever we have crashed or whatever was inaccessible before this. It's not crash, it is it's inaccessible actually. So now when we'll see, we don't have grub. So now we can run this command, whatever command we run, we can run like we are in sitting in the operating system. ls space, you can see that this boot will not have grub.cfg. It does not have, and this root will have grub.cfg because we have moved there. Grub.cfg, you can see that this. So what was the command for that? Grub2 hyphen, what was the command? I need to look for the command. What was that? Okay, let me see if install works. Install device isn't mentioned. So what would be the SDA one? Installation finished, no error found. Let me see whether we have grub. Let's see whether we have file system or not. sorry, grub.cfg has been generated or not. No, we don't have. So that does not work. Grub2 hyphen mk image. Let me see. It takes the directory. Okay, let me see if output file must be specified. I'm not audible.
Yes, sir, it is okay.
Okay, thank you. I forgot the command actually, so I need to look for it. Just give me 2 minutes time. Mhm. So here is the output file. So we can make the config file by using grub2 -mk config -o boot grub2 grub.cfg. So now what it is going to do, it is going to scan your system for all the VM lineage and initrd fs files, and it's going to keep all the data. It's going to write a new config file with the help of all these files. So we'll see that. Grub.cfg. Now we can see that. Now this time this is a newly written file, so we will not have our changes whatever we have done. Like we have replaced the name of Akash here, so we will not have that name here. You can see that. So it is a newly created file by the Grub. So this is how we can see that it may or may not have the extra entries. Okay, so it may or may not have the extra entries. Since we have created our own, so this is the way it creates. Now we'll reboot, so not reboot. We have to exit first, so that currently we are into the chroot. Chroot means change root actually. Now what is change root? Changing the root files root of from one operating system to the another not another operating system to the another file system. So let's say you have this file system already. Yep, you have OS running, you have root of you have root from the CD or DVD. Now if you want to change the root from DVD to the hard disk, whatever is mounted here, then in that case you are required to use command chroot. So you wanted to change the root. So let's say if you are giving an example, somebody is asking a question in interview that what is chroot? You can say that we can change the root. So in that case, you are required to explain this whole scenario, that what is the meaning of chroot and what is booting from the DVD and then getting into RAM, and then in the RAM will or this DVD will automatically mount the hard disk. Will check the bootable flag, mount the hard disk, and after getting the hard disk, it will mount the it will mount the hard disk. After mounting it, it will give you the root of DVD, and from the root of DVD, you wanted to recover your system, you have to change the root from DVD to the root of your hard disk. So that is what it will do. So let us reboot the system and see whether it's working or not. Now at this point of time, I have to remove the DVD. Optical disk. You can see that it's again booting from the optical disk because it's already inserted. I have removed it now. Now I will reboot the system. You can see that we have got the grub. We have got the grub, and you can press E. You can see that all the options are here. You can press escape key to go back and then press enter. So now here we have successfully recovered the file system, not file system or operating system. So sometime you may face the issue that your file system is flooded. Your file system is flooded with the logs. You don't have enough space to detect the logs or to run the operating system itself, because initrd is going to extend. Okay, so expand, it's going to expand. So expanding will require some amount of space. So space, if you don't have space, it's not going to expand it. So let's wait for this to boot.
Sir, are you there?
Yep, sorry for the mute. Long hold, sorry. Yes. Anybody was having any doubt before this? I didn't heard because I was not on headphone.
No, sir.
Okay, right. Thank you. So this is for the system recovery. Yeah, I was saying that let's say if you are end up with some low memory issues, so in that case also you are required to follow the same thing because you will be able to reach to the grub. That's okay, fine, but you will never be able to. Uh, let me open the picture. This is the picture. Yeah, you'll be able to open to the grub. VM Linux has been extracted, but as soon as initrd MFS is getting extracted, you will end up with low memory space because it's the file system. It may happen that you don't have the file system enough space to extract this because you may have flooded your space root file system itself. So in that case, you either you will have an option to go to the single user mode and delete the files whichever you think that that's not needed or that's redundant or that's user space files at least to make your system up and running at least. Okay, so that you need to delete. And another case, if that is also not working, then go back to the rescue mode, whatever we have gone through. And after going to the rescue mode, you are required to delete the files. And after deleting the files, you're done. You can reboot your system the way you want it. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And yep, that is what it is. During the rescue mode, you can do several things actually. In rescue mode, you can install drivers also. You can, means you have your not running system to be get modified with the help of chroot. So, okay, if any doubt in this whole thing or in this diagram or maybe in this diagram, anybody has any
No,
doubt?
no, sir.
Okay, fine. Yep. Somebody was having any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
No, sir.
Thank you. So,
No, sir.
so far this is it, and there. Okay, let me stop the recording for this.